Rodwell Nkomazana was asleep outside church in rural Zimbabwe when he was attacked by a hyena.
Ndakatosha kutara kumeso kuti poso kumeso kwa kusingaonekwi.
Inini mvungwa dzangu pandakaona chiitiko chaitika ichi ndakatoti Rodi ari kutofa.
Against the odds, he survived.
Immediately when I arrived, they exposed his wounds, and he was a young man with, literally no face.
He's now headed to South Africa for life-changing surgery.
When I saw the first photographs of how horrendous the injury was, I decided that I would do whatever I could to help him.
Our World has been given exclusive access to follow Rodwell's journey to recovery. A rare moment of rest and play for Rodwell and his mother Shamiso. It's just 4 months since Rodwell was attacked. Rodwell was living with his grandmother in rural Zimbabwe when, early in May, they attended an all-night prayer vigil.
Saka yakasvika nguva yekuti vana varare. Saka Rodwell akabatanawo nevamwe vana ndobva varara. Saka pavakarara pachechi pane vanhu pavaiimba vachiita zvese, Rodwell ndopa yakabatwa nebere.
It was here, under this tree, that Rodwell was attacked.
Mwana ndobva angoti kwamei saka dzinywa. Ndobva vanhu vangoti akuda vana kutamba. Kuzoti paakazowedzera zvekukwama, nzira risingabudi. Ndopakati mwana wabakwa ramabhinya. Ndopakazomanya vanhu vomanya vakomana vanga ariko kundokuona kuti mwana uyu mwana otomanya bere iro. Ndobva amanyira bere riya ndobva varatisa. Ndobva rasiya mwana uya. Pendakatanga kumuona mwana wanga akazara ropa kumeso kana kuti ndiwone kumeso kwakwe kwakusingaonekwi. Vamwe ndakatoti ndakati kutarira handidi, vamwe ndo vakatotarira vakati mwana hachina rimwe ziso rainda, muromo wainda, mino yainda, ina handida kutarirawo mwana uya. Ndikati ina handitari ndingatofira pano. Iko zvokwadi ndakatarira ndakatofirawo pano, takatoita vaviri pano. Zvino zvakandirwadza zvingambobviri pamuzukuru wangu. Muzukuru wangu unondirwadza wanga ane tsitsi singambobviri. Rodwell waiti akabva kumunda kwanika ndiri munda mbuya muchimunda nanhasi ndikati ndabva kumba kundobika wotoona mwana yawo tondochinja uniform.
Rodwell's injuries were so severe, it seemed unlikely he would survive.
Pandakaona Rodi, chituko chabva chichangoitika pandakamuona dhere chitu, ndakanzwa kubatikana kutambudzika kukuru pamusoro pemwana wangu. Inini mvungwa dzangu pandakaona chiitiko chaitika ichi ndakatoti Rodi ari kutofa.
Rodwell lives in a remote part of Zimbabwe. It was nearly 2 days before he reached a referral hospital in the country's capital, Harare.
You could see that the entire upper lip was missing, and we could see the teeth. So this is someone who, when people look at out there, you would think that they are smiling because you are seeing the teeth all the time.
Dr. Wayne Manana is one of Zimbabwe's top facial surgeons. He treated Rodwell when he arrived.
Immediately when I arrived, they exposed his wounds, and he was a young man with, literally no face. As a surgeon who work in the face, one of the things that we know very well, and that is grilled and taught, is the face carries the identity of a person. And when you lose the face, you sort of have lost your identity. So the face is like the first thing that someone looks at. Even when you go to get national identity particulars like passports, or even a very basic thing like getting a selfie with your phone, we take it for granted. So we all came together, and we didn't waste time. We took him to theater, and the priority on the first surgery was to preserve life. And we did that by ensuring that the airway is secure, by ensuring that there are no infections, because we also worried, we were concerned that the bacteria or the germs inside the mouth of the hyena, we didn't know how poisonous or dangerous it is.
The spotted hyena is known to attack humans, but this was the first time it had happened in Rodwell's village. As human populations grow, conflict with wildlife is an increasing concern.
Hyenas are very common. If you look the way people like in rural area, the way they stay very close to the wild areas. We are encroaching in their habitat, so we seem to be getting close to where they stay. So when they start looking for food, they come close to their communities. If maybe it has the opportunity of finding somebody sleeping, because that will be the best hunting place for it. If you are quiet, you are sleeping, and then it can decide on what to do on you.
The surgeons in Harare had saved Rodwell's life, but his face had severe injuries. He had lost his nose, one eye, and his upper lip. Zimbabwe didn't have the resources needed to try and reconstruct his face. With the help of donors who offered to pay for the trip, Rodwell traveled to South Africa.
This little clip where he's saying, waving bye-bye to everyone, very, very emotional, I think, for him and the staff.
Makshuda Kaji is one of the medical team who traveled to Harare to collect him.
I received a call on the 14th of May from a colleague of mine who was asking for assistance for Rodwell. She sent me really graphic photographs saying that he was attacked on the 7th of May and he needed further treatment in South Africa, and that's where I got involved. There was lack of resources in Zimbabwe for his treatment, and for him to stand an optimal chance of leading a normal life with reconstruction, rehabilitative therapy, he had to come to South Africa. There was just no doubt about that.
Ndandiri kuZimbabwe pandakanzwa kuti Rodwell ndiri kuuya naye kuno kuSouth Africa. Inini pachangu ndakanzwa kufara nokuziva kuti kwandava kuenda naRod kuSouth Africa ari kunorarama. Zvekare ndakaona kuti life yomwana wangu yajeka.
Rodwell and his mother arrived in Johannesburg at the end of June to begin his reconstructive surgery.
So when he arrived, I remember him coming out of the ambulance and he was lying on the stretcher with a little hoodie on, and he had a little iPad, and as they sort of wheeled him into the hospital, he was watching SpongeBob on the iPad, which is a very childlike thing to do, to kind of just ignore all of the adults in the room and just watch his iPad. So I remember thinking, and he was all bandaged, but he was still, laughing at this little iPad, and I just remember thinking, many an adult wouldn't handle tons of people around him with as much grace as a 9-year-old. I think that was when Rodwell sort of revealed his character, and that he was a remarkable little soul that was just going to take everything in his stride and still approach everything with like sort of childlike innocence and excitement.
Are you ready for me, buddy?
A team of more than 20 specialists, all of them working for free, started the slow process of rebuilding Rodwell's face.
This was a very heart-wrenching story when I saw the first photographs of how horrendous the injury was. So I just thought I could see where I could help and do whatever I can. So I was very happy to offer my services pro bono, and I think the rest of the team thought the same way. So the big procedures involved firstly identifying the big injuries, correcting all the fractures on the face of the upper and lower jaws, the orbit in which the left eye was housed originally, placing prosthetics into the nose, or what would eventually become a nose, and his left eye, and placing a large, what we call a free flap, to reconstruct the defect that was in place of his upper lip. So we had to use a piece of his thigh to reconstruct that part of his face.
In August, 2 months after arriving in South Africa, Rodwell was discharged from hospital. But it's a long road to recovery. Rodwell lost his left eye in the attack. He's now on his way for an appointment with an ocularist.
You can see the pictures. All these people have had a problem with their eyes, and everybody that you see here is wearing a prosthesis. All these people, Rodwell.
Gavin Downward's job is to make Rodwell a new eye. Today, he is making a template for the prosthesis.
Rodwell, when I put this cream, it's going to feel a little bit cold for you. It does take a bit of time to get this right, but if you consider the amount of time, the length of time you wear it, for spending a little while by us, it's well worth it. This is going to give me the shape to manufacture Rodwell's prosthesis. The aim of making these eye prosthetics is to try and match it as perfectly as what we can, so that when you see the patient afterwards, you can't tell which eye it is. Okay. There we go. Perfect. Rodwell, you're a champion. You were very good. You really surprised me. Yeah, just trim off the excess. There we go. See, this is what I put in your eye. So this is the shape of your eye. You see? And you were so good. And then I put it in here. It comes out of here. So when you come to me next time, I'm going to have something that's going to look like this, but it's going to be for you. It's only going to fit you. Good. But you were a very good boy. I'm very proud of you. Good young man.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Ndiri kunzwa kufara kuti Rodhi ari kuwana rimwe ziso. Zvekare iye muridzi ari kufara. Ine ndikunyanya kutenda vari kutibatsira nezvavari kuita pana Rodhi. Kwatiri kuenda uku tiri kuenda kuti vanoda kumhezha mhino yake. Nhasi Rodwell ari kufara. Chanyanya kumufadza ndechekuti pauya unduke vachimudhiresa makuseni. Aenda pagirazi akataura kuti mama ndapora. Saka ari kufara nezviri kuitika paari. Ndiri kupora maronda ese. Saka ndazenge ndamuudza kuti kunogadziriswa mhuno nhasi. Saka haiwa ari kufara.
What we'll be doing is we'll be designing and planning of this nasal prosthesis, and ultimately in his case what it's going to mean is we'll take some impressions of the implants that are currently in his face, and we'll make a substructure made of chrome cobalt, and onto that we'll use magnets to locate this nose, so that he just needs to place it there and the magnets will lock the two together.
Ndakatarisa Rodhi ndichinzwa manyawa kunzwa kufarira Rodhi. Ndinomuona kuti Rodhi ane ushingi huri maari, ende especially tomboti uri kurwadziwa here. Chero inini ndichiona kuti mwana wangu ane pain, anondudza kuti handisi kurwadziwa. Ane moyo wokunzwa kuti inini ari kundirwadzisa, saka anofanira kudai achidai achivhakaviridza. Saka ndinonzwa kufara kuti Mwari vakaita havo.
So this impression will then be used to make a plaster model of his face. So that allows us to then build up the structure that we intend to make for him in wax.
Rodwell has not been out in public since the attack, but on the way back, Dr. Mia decides to take Rodwell and Shamiso on the train. It's an important moment for Rodwell.
Muda kwataita tichifamba tangonzwa kumbosununguka ungofarawo.
We're very glad to see Rodwell on the train, looking out of the window, you know, amongst other passengers on the train, and it gives you a sense of, you know, that this child will eventually integrate well back into society, which is one of our major aims here. So today is all about that, and establishing him, you know, feeling confident out in the world again.
10 minutes. 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 10
To build Rodwell's confidence further, his mom is taking him to meet 2 other young men who were attacked by hyenas. They also suffered life-changing facial injuries.
Oh, wow. Hello. How are you?
How are you?
Good, thanks for yourself. I'm Aku. Pleased to meet you. Hello. Hello. Yeah, we've both been through the same experience as Rodwell.
Yeah.
Him obviously way back, and mine 5 years back.
Yeah, I remember I was attacked on the 12th of June 2011. It's tough though, being young and going through something like this. I mean, I remember being so young and just kind of wanting to reclude into my family's arms, you know.
How old were you when it happened?
I was 12.
12, okay, so you're even closer to his age than I was. I was 15 at least.
15.
Yeah.
Sure.
And he's 9 now. Nine's
very
young. Very young. And I think his situation is more severe than I think both of ours.
And I mean, for me, as a sort of 12-year-old boy, you know, I hadn't actually gone through puberty yet, and there was still so much ahead of me, and I had no idea what was out there in the big bad world. And I actually learned so much from my attack, and I matured so much, and it made me who I am today completely.
So this is basically my road of recovery, and it's actually kind of nice to look at it now, because you can reflect on where you came from and where you are now, and see progress. You forget quite quickly.
Words get lost in all the feelings. I know in the evenings when you go to sleep and you close your eyes, you go back to that day. Does it happen? What do you do? What do you do when you close your eyes, and when you're tired, then you always see that thing happening again. What I've learned to do is I open my eyes and I would say to myself, we are not there anymore. We've moved on. We've come so far. But it is as if the devil wants to take you back there again and again and again. So look for the good things every single day, and every day there's some mercy. Every day something good will happen, but you have to be open to see it.
Pandaona vakomana vakakuvara sarodhi mwana wangu, ndanzwa kufara kuziva kuti mwana wangu achaita zvakanaka.
It's been 2 weeks since Rodwell's last visit to the ocularist, Gavin. He is now back to have his new eye fitted.
Look here, it's for you, this one. See, we put color the same as your color. See? Yeah, we can put for you.
Ndichiona mwana wangu achidzokera kuzvaanga ari, ndinonzwa kufara kuti ndiye rodhi wandanga ndinaye angodzokera paanga ari. Ndinonzwa
ndikufara zita rangu. Dokta ndikaodzirwa ndoda kuodzirwa odzirwa ndikaitwa.
Look, the plan today is we've got this new nose that we're going to be fitting on, and we're going to connect it onto those implants that you have placed already. Okay, are we ready? Okay. So the fit is excellent, and that's exactly what we wanted, and we've sealed off the defect quite nicely. It's just from a color point of view, because all the grafted tissue comes from different parts of his body, they all have different colors. We still have to fine-tune that. So now we stain little parts of the nose to match the different parts of the flaps that come from different parts of his body. We're 99% there. The last bit is just cosmetic. It's just to make sure that it blends in with different parts of his flap.
So try to breathe through your nose. So we're going to be removing the tracheostomy tube. This will allow him to breathe entirely from his nose, and this little tract that's opened up here in the last few months will now start to close. So in other words, he'll start breathing entirely through his nose and mouth. He's come such a long way since he first got here. How do you feel? Are you okay?
Kufara kuti Mwari maita henyu asi zvichiburikidza nevanhu vakabatsira nokuti hakusi kugona kwangu.
Soon, Rodwell and Shamiso will return to Zimbabwe. Rodwell still needs more surgery and his future is uncertain, but Shamiso is hopeful.
Ndakatarisa Rodhi ndichinzwa manyawa kunzwa kufarira Rodhi. Ndinomuona kuti Rodhi ane ushingi huri maari.
Yes, to amplify the inner man in himself and understand that at the end of the day there are more important things in life.
I hope it's just such a beautiful success story where, you know, he's able to say one day that lots of people gave me a second chance. They believed in me.
I would hope that this journey he's been on of reconstruction, healing, would be a platform or a foundation for him to build on and for him to set the goals for the rest of his life.
The situation we're in now can only get better, and as long as you focus on the positive and not all the negatives in it, it's going to be an amazing outcome.
Manyamwe angu anobva pakuti mwana wangu ari kuratidza kuti ari kuzvigamuchira zviripo panguva iyo ise zvaari. Mwana wangu achaita change muupenyu hwake, zvichadzokedzana kuva zvazvanga zviri. Saka ndinonzwa kufara zvakanyanya.